I'm Dr. Bhaswati Bhattacharya, and today I'm here interviewing another of the Ayurvedic physicians in the United States of America. Today we're going to talk with Dr. Vivek Shanbhag. Dr. Vivek completed his BAMS at Karnataka University in Dharwad and then went directly to Pune University, where he completed an MD in Kaya Chikitsa, which is the Ayurvedic Sanskrit equivalent of something like internal medicine, specializing in dermatology. Vivek, can you tell us a little bit more about your training as an Ayurvedic physician in India?
I got introduced to Ayurveda through some counseling from my father, and we grew up in five of us siblings grew up in Goa and the coastal states, Karnataka and Maharashtra. So wherever the Konkan Railway goes, okay, that's my childhood playground. All the three states, and while growing up, my father and mother, they are nature lovers. Okay, so they introduced us to more of the traditional Konkani diet and lifestyle. And my father encouraged me to, for my career, get into Ayurveda. So I went to Karnataka University after my high school. And the teachers were really dedicated and got to learn about Vedic philosophy for the first time, and got to learning into the Sanskrit language. And it was a completely different world that I was introduced to. The Shad Darshanas, whether it is the Nyaya, Vaishesika, Sankhya, Yoga, that was mind blowing. And to learn how the each of us human beings is connected to the universe through the Panchamahabhutas, through the five principles, and how those five principles in the outside world show up within us at Vata Pitta Kapha, and then how that play between our internal forces and the external forces goes on, whether it is the Sattva Rajatama in the mind or whether it is the doshas and the dhatus, and how when you lose that balance, disease comes. And then again, nature helps us to bring the balance back. That was a fascinating journey about learning Ayurveda. And we learned about diseases, treatments, herbs, rasaushadis, the herbo-mineral preparations and all of that. But I wanted to actually find out the answers to why, how. So I said, okay, I want to do research. I want to do post-graduation. So after BMS, then I found out where the really fundamental research happens, and that was Pune, which was closest and convenient for me. So MD helped me in doing that. So I actually did a double-blind, placebo-controlled crossover trial with 280 patients, and that was specifically was acne, in called Mukha in Sanskrit or Ayurvedic language, and I used specifically Shankha Bhasma as the medicine for treatment of Mukha or acne vulgaris.
That's interesting. So you cleaned out their gut using Shankabhasma,
Exactly.
and then their skin got better. And this connection between the gut and the skin is something really interesting. How did you interface that then with coming to the US and learning from the naturopathic point of view, where they don't talk about that kind of a connection?
I, from the very beginning, getting fascinated with Ayurveda, had always the challenge of telling my family or friends, okay, about what I'm studying. Because many of my friends got into engineering, okay, some of them got into, say, taxation or law, and they would say, hey, what's this Ayurveda that you are learning? Because unfortunately in the Indian high school education, you never get the word Ayurveda uttered in all of your 12 years of schooling. It is nowhere there in textbook even single time, and your teachers don't even say the word Ayurveda throughout those 12 years of schooling. And the only time you get to hear Ayurveda in those days is when you went to a movie theater. You would see the ad, Vico turmeric Ayurvedic cream. That's when you hear the word Ayurveda for the first time. So my friends and relatives would ask me, so do you have to go to jungles to collect herbs, or do you still do Triphala for every single person? And then, as this passionate Ayurvedic enthusiast, then I would try to explain to them what Ayurveda is. So that got me into teaching Ayurveda. So in Pune, while I was doing my MD, I was also teaching at the local Ayurvedic college, the Ashtanga Ayurvedic College in Pune. And I started doing various lectures and workshops. And one of them was a missionary institute, where one of my students was from Berkeley. And they told me that there is this whole explosion of holistic health here in California. And I said, hey, I have studied Ayurveda, I have studied yoga, I have studied nature cure here in India, and I'm young and I'd like to know more about what this holistic health is. So that's what brought me to this country, is my interest in learning holistic health. So I actually got admission to a master's program in holistic medicine here in Northern California, and that's how I entered here.
And which university was that holistic health program?
That was called as John F. Kennedy University here in Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. And while doing that, then as I did more research, I learned about the naturopathic doctorate. I had learned about naturopathic doctorate in India, but it seemed very unaffordable, because when I suddenly saw that it cost like $150,000 and 4 years, and I said, hey, I have already spent 9 years in doing my BMS and MD, and $150,000 converted to rupees when you are in India looks impossible. But when I came here, I kind of got an idea is that is the way if I want to practice Ayurveda in its totality. Because in naturopathic medicine, you can do consultation like we do in Ayurvedic consultation. You can use dietary modifications, lifestyle modifications, herbal medicines, and external bodywork therapies. So all of which it allows me to use almost 85 to 90% of Ayurveda. So that's where I went to Bastyr University and did my naturopathic doctorate.
So just to clarify, you as a naturopathic doctor can do much of what you were doing as an Ayurvedic doctor in India? Is that right?
I can do almost 90% of what I can do as an Ayurvedic doctor in India under my naturopathic doctor's scope of practice.
So when people say that Ayurvedic doctors cannot practice in the USA, no matter what, they can't practice Ayurveda, they don't know about the path that you took, right?
Correct. Every month, I get calls, from people who have finished their BMS or MD in India, have come to this country either through marriage, or through various other routes, and they ask me, I want to practice Ayurveda. I really am passionate about this, and I tell them, go back to school, get a license in the area of your interest. If your interest is body work, go and get a massage license. If your interest is nutrition, go and get a dietitian license. If your interest is being a full primary care provider, become a naturopath, become an acupuncturist, and get a license so that you have a proper legal scope of practice to work under.
So what kind of patients do you see, and where do you see them?
Well, I have practiced in 4 different clinical setups. So first, before I came to US, I practiced in Pune for 3 years, and it was a general practitioner, where I saw all chronic and acute cases, and each patient you just spend 5-10 minutes, and in a day you see as many as 70-80 patients. So I saw all kinds of patients there in Pune for 3.5 years. And then when I came to US after my ND, I practiced in Seattle for a good 16 years. And there my patients were about 85% local, born in America and raised in America, and 15% were of Indian origin. And I mostly saw chronic cases, okay, whether it is digestive disorders, hormonal disorders, dermatological cases, many diabetes patients, heart disease patients, cancer patients. Musculoskeletal and arthritis, so many chronic patients. Then after going back to India, I practiced in Goa for another 6 years. In Goa, I saw and then for last 9 years here in San Jose, California, I see again mostly chronic and degenerative diseases, whether it is musculoskeletal, lots of neurological and psychological, then also immunology cases. But the most common ones are metabolic syndrome, heart diseases, hypercholesterolemia, dermatological cases, all of that.
And what kinds of treatments, like modalities, do you use in your practice for these kind of patients now?
That's the privilege of being an Ayurvedic and a naturopathic practitioner, is that you have a really wide range of tools available. So we, of course, use diet modifications, lifestyle modifications, nutritional supplements, like Ayurvedic herbo-mineral medicines, Ayurvedic external therapies, whether it is Abhyanga, Shirodhara, Svedana, then the complete Panchakarma, which includes all of the cleansing detox treatments. I also use various types of Ayurvedic herbal oils, whether they are nasal drops, ear drops. Then use yoga therapies like yoga asanas, pranayam, dhyana. So we use even counseling is something, okay, that we use, okay, when mental disorders are there. So that's something that I have gotten training during the naturopathic treatment. During the naturopathic training, we also learned a whole lot of physical therapy. So we use physical therapy. So we are. It feels good to use various tools to bring healing to the patient.
That is so great. And where do you get those herbal formulations or oils? Do you make them yourself, or do you have a place where you tend to get them from?
That's only one thing that I have never gotten involved in. Okay, I've gotten involved in teaching, writing, or practicing. Okay, of course, the associations, okay, and conferences, everything. But one thing that I did not get involved is manufacturing. That's a whole different ball game. When I was working in Pune, I was working as a head of a research institute for 3 years, called Institute of Ayurvedic Research. And at that time, various companies in India used to bring their products to get analyzed at our the research institute. So I got to know while in Pune which companies have which products. For example, some companies have some products that are really good for female health problems. Some companies have really good health products for digestive problems. Some companies have amazing asavas and aristas. Some companies have really good oils. So when I came to this country, initially the practice was very small. So I used to bring some of the products myself, or have some of my relatives bring it, because that's the most economical way. And when you have a very small practice, that is possible. But within about a couple years, okay, I had to actually start importing. So I started importing medicines from those companies that I already knew were having high standards of manufacturing. And later on in so the second time when I came back to India, now I buy local, because there are at least about 40 to 50 importers or manufacturers here. Of course, they bring the ingredients from India, but they either capsulate them or they tablet them or they process them here. So I have done both, importing from India as well as buying from local companies.
What about distributors of some of the big brands of Ayurvedic products like Kotakal or AVP or those? Do you have?
Yeah, so we have here in San Jose a big facility of 3,000 square feet. Okay, we have total 7 practitioners working for me here. We have complete pharmacy of all of the products. We do the panchakarma. So all the products are necessary, and I don't believe in any one supplier or one vendor. So whoever has the a good quality, I get from them.
That is so great. Can you tell us a pearl of wisdom from Ayurveda that the patients in America would really find useful?
Well, for the patients in America, I would say instead of chasing this standardized one glove fits all magic pill or surgical procedure, benefit from the Ayurvedic wisdom of first understanding your unique mind body type, which then allows you to heal completely using personalized, individualized diet modification, lifestyle modification, the natural medicines and natural therapies. And it actually not only reverses the pathology, but enhances the positive health. That's what my simple advice is benefit from the wisdom and healing of Ayurveda.
That's so great. That's a big pearl. And what about some advice for the new practitioners that have just reached America, or people in India who are thinking of coming to America, or who have started doing teleconsultations with people in America, either cousins or friends of cousins? What kind of advice would you give them about practicing Ayurveda in America?
First, trust that you have learned an amazing science. You know a lot. Okay, you have seen practicals for those 5.5 years if you did BMS, or for those 9 years if you did your MD. And based on that trust and confidence, improve your communication skills. Constantly work on communication, because practicing in America is about communication. Oral communication, written communication, body language communication, okay, where what you know needs to be put in words that can be understood by your audience or your student or your patient who is currently in a different cultural context. Okay, so what you learned in an Ayurvedic college, whether it is South India, North India, East India, West India, that language does not communicate to the people who you're talking to over internet, whether they are in California or New York or Florida. In India, people just come, tell you symptoms in 10-15 minutes, you prescribe something or give them a couple bottles, they are out. Less discussion happens, okay, less why, how gets asked. Here, everything starts by asking, okay, why is Ayurveda scientific? Okay, how will this work? Why do you recommend this? Okay, what is my subdosha that is out of balance? So that new practitioner needs to be able to communicate both the philosophy and the science of Ayurveda in a language that the patient or student can understand. So communication skills is the most important thing that they need to work on. They have the science, they have the philosophy, they know the protocols.
Thank you for sharing that. That is really great. So, to learn more about you, I'm going to invite the viewers to look below in the area of comments, where we're going to put links to your practice, any other websites that you would like us to know, and some of your favorite websites. Is there anything else you want to leave the viewers with that we haven't discussed?
Yes, the viewers, I will tell them is that both if you are a new Ayurvedic practitioner or if you are an Ayurveda student who has studied here in this country, we all have to consider ourselves very privileged to be both teaching and practicing this science, which gives us the privilege to participate in people's total transformation. I feel very privileged that I can be a teacher and a healer for people to teach them how unique they are in their mind body type and how nature allows them to be this healthy, happy human being with resources from nature that Ayurveda allows us to heal with. So feel that privilege, because if somebody asks me, okay, would you do something else in your next life? I would say, no way, Jose. This is the only thing that I would want to do for next all my lives if I get any. So that's my advice, is that feel privileged, feel happy, feel proud that this is what we get to both do in our profession and in our life. I feel that there is a continuum in both my professional and personal life. I don't have to use a different philosophy or a different lifestyle. It's all same, whether it is in clinic, whether it is in the classroom, or whether it is in my living room.
Thank you so much for sharing. We hope that you've enjoyed watching this video, and it's presented to you by AAP, the American Association of Ayurvedic Professionals. Thanks.
And that's the profession that I want you all to look forward to learn from and to heal from. So that is another resource for the new Ayurvedic physicians, either coming from India or learning here, is to use this resource, which I proudly serve as the current president. So definitely thank you, Bhaswati, for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts and views. I look forward to learning a lot from this series.